got to do everything in the world to make sure we kill Frank Gore's head. We want him running sideways. We want his head sideways.
The Rams are going to get it back.
He has no idea.
Plenty of time left after the punt, which is fair. Caught at the 9-yard line and then fumbled at the 11-yard line. And who has the football? The Saints do!
Jim Haslett had started off his head coaching career with promise by leading the New Orleans Saints to their first postseason victory in franchise history, providing hope to a team that had experienced sparse success since its birth in 1967. Instead of the 2000 season being a sign of things to come, the Saints slipped back into mediocrity, hovering right around 500 the following 4 seasons. In 2005, Haslett was looking to recapture that momentum of his first season, but before it got underway, something else became the primary concern of the team, the city, and the country. Hurricane Katrina had devastated New Orleans, causing over 1,300 fatalities, destroying homes and entire communities around the city. Approximately 26,000 people took refuge in the Louisiana Superdome, where they were provided food and water while they waited out the dangers of the storm. While it was clear football was the least of concern to New Orleans that fall, the Saints would not return to New Orleans that season. Instead, they would play their 2005 home games at Louisiana State University's Tiger Stadium and the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. There were even rumors that the Saints could be permanently relocated to San Antonio due to the damage on the Superdome.
Hurricane comes through and people from San Antonio think they can steal our team away from us, and they're trying to kick us while we're down, and we don't really appreciate that.
The Saints ended the season with a 3-13 record, the second worst in the entire league. As a result, the front office decided to start over, firing Haslett after 6 seasons as the team's head coach. Sean Payton was hired as his replacement. He was brought over from the Dallas Cowboys, where he was an assistant coach for the legendary Bill Parcells. The Saints also brought aboard a new on-the-field leader, quarterback Drew Brees.
Already it seems this easygoing quarterback will fit right in with the Big Easy.
Brees signed to the team as a free agent after playing his first 5 seasons for the San Diego Chargers. While New Orleans was still rebuilding from the devastation a year ago, the return of the Saints and the reopening of the Superdome provided a sliver of normalcy to the city.
New Orleans Saints game ever. And they're here for the return in New Orleans. Look out! Right through! A kick by Steve Gleason. It is still and scored by Curtis DeLuca. Touchdown, New Orleans!
The most memorable play in this franchise history is that block punt in 2006, and for a lot of good reasons, not just football.
This win marked the beginning of a successful comeback season for the Saints and debut campaign for Sean Payton as a head coach. Payton and Brees led the team to a 10-6 season, earning the Saints the NFC South Division title and a home playoff game against the experienced Philadelphia Eagles.
What an improbable story for both the Saints and the Philadelphia Eagles, who come in as the hottest team in the NFC. The victor advances to the conference title game next week, and for the loser, their season is over. From the 11, Saints can get a first down without scoring, and they swing it out to Bruce McAllister, who will go in for the touchdown.
In a tightly contested back-and-forth game, Brees was able to lead the Saints to victory. Chicago's stout defense, led by Hall of Famer Brian Urlacher, was too much for Drew Brees and the Saints offense in the NFC Championship. Despite the blowout loss, the New Orleans season was seen as a huge success. Brees was named All-Pro, and Payton received the NFL Coach of the Year award. But for Sean Payton, early success wasn't the only similarity he shared with his predecessor.
Minute remaining, Drew Brees, pass intercepted. Matt Giordano's going to the house. 83 yards. And Brees, not his best contest, that is for sure.
The team kicked off the year with an embarrassing 41-10 loss to the defending champion Indianapolis Colts on national TV. The Saints would start the season 0-4 and finish with a record of 7-9. The struggles continued into the 2008 season, where the team struggled to put up consistent wins and finished with an 8-8 record, last in the NFC South Division. The one glimmer of hope for the Saints was the ascension of Drew Brees as one of the NFL's elite quarterbacks. Despite the mediocre result in the standings, Brees finished the season with 5,069 yards, only 15 yards short of Dan Marino's single-season passing record. Brees' play earned him the AP NFL Offensive Player of the Year award. After Brees' brilliant 2008 campaign, the New Orleans Saints front office was tasked with giving Brees a comparable defense. There was pressure on the team to not waste another prime season from Brees. The Saints brought in Greg Williams, an experienced defensive coordinator who was known for his 4-3 defenses. Sean Payton praised Williams after his interview for the position, saying he was impressive and prepared. Payton even took a $250,000 salary cut in order to finance Williams' contract. They also re-signed linebacker Jonathan Vilma in hopes to bring some continuity to the defense. Heading into the season, NFL media was generally optimistic about the Saints. Most pundits picked the Saints to win the division, but no one predicted the incredible start the team would have to the season.
This is the way we live. New Orleans Saints #1 on the field. Katrina couldn't stop us, and that's real. These teams is no big deal, big deal, big. This is the way we live. New Orleans Saints #1 on the field. Katrina couldn't stop us, and that's real. These teams is no big deal. Good job, baby. This is the way I say this.
Never been done before in this club's history. And yet I said to you early on, we're not carrying the sins of these old teams here forward. This is our deal.
The Saints got off to a 13-0 start, which was already the most regular season wins in franchise history. Williams' aggressive approach contributed to the team's success as the Saints recorded 35 defensive takeaways on the season, second in the NFL. On the other side of the ball, Drew Brees had the offense firing on all cylinders, averaging 32 points a game on the season, first in the NFL. On the season, Brees himself threw a total of 34 touchdowns and just under 4,400 yards.
It was supposed to be, in many ways, shapes, and forms, a big-time post-game party here in New Orleans for the undefeated Saints, but instead, the Dallas Cowboys absolutely shocked this Superdome.
In Week 14, Tony Romo and the visiting Dallas Cowboys beat the Saints on a primetime Saturday night showdown, ending their chances at a perfect season. This was the beginning of a concerning skid for the Saints. After their historic 13-0 start, they finished the season on a 3-game losing streak and a 13-3 record. Their early season success was enough to earn the 1 seed in the NFC, which meant home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs, as well as a much-needed first-round bye. After a week of rest and preparation, they were ready to face the defending NFC champion, Arizona Cardinals, who were hungry to get back to the Super Bowl after barely missing out on their first ever championship.
With the extra point, you've got a 4-point game.
After an early Arizona lead, the Saints dominated the game, snapping their 3-game losing streak and defeating the Cardinals 45-14. In one notable play in the second quarter, veteran quarterback Kurt Warner threw an interception to defensive end Will Smith. After the interception, Bobby McCray put a devastating hit on Warner, temporarily knocking him out of the game. Warner would return to the game. This would be his final appearance as a professional football player, as he retired shortly after the game. The Saints would be hosting another veteran quarterback in the NFC Championship round. This time, it was Brett Favre and the Minnesota Vikings.
Here's a screen. That's Thomas. And Pierre has a lane down the sideline, still going. How about this start? After his performance last week, now it's Peterson who loses it.
After a red zone fumble from Adrian Peterson to end a tightly contested half, the teams entered the locker room tied at 14 apiece. For the rest of the game, neither team gave an inch, resulting in an identical second half scoring-wise. The aggressive Saints defense was relentless, laying down tough hit after tough hit on Brett Favre. Bobby McCray would even face a $20,000 fine after the game for a hit on Favre. The aggressive defense also led to a series of important turnovers, including a fourth-quarter interception from Tracy Porter that helped send the game to overtime. Brees led the offense into field goal range, placing the hopes of the entire team and entire city of New Orleans on the shoulders of kicker Garrett Hartley.
Hartley sends the Saints to the Super Bowl.
Drew Brees, Sean Payton, and the New Orleans Saints would now have an opportunity to claim the highest honor in football, the Lombardi Trophy.
It's a terrific chance for New Orleans to really come together and to show that the city's back.
But standing in their way was their toughest opponent of the entire season. They would be playing against league MVP Peyton Manning and the Indianapolis Colts, who won Super Bowl 41 against the Chicago Bears. The Colts came into the game as favorites after posting a 14-2 record during the regular season, the only club with a better record than the Saints.
You know, the big thing is that he throws the ball so early that we're going to have to do a good job of finding ways to get to him. And then when we do get to him, then we're going to make sure we have a couple of remember me shots when we get there.
The two clubs had not played since the primetime 41-10 beatdown in 2007.
Peyton, put it into your words, you know what this city, I mean, you grew up there. Do you almost feel strange having to play the Saints in this thing? Do you feel bad?
Well, I'm excited for New Orleans as well, Chris. It's a special place to me. My family lives there. But I also have a great appreciation for what Drew and his teammates have done.
Manning was a hometown hero in New Orleans. He grew up in the city as his father Archie was the longtime starting QB for the Saints. Regardless, Manning had spent his entire career in Indianapolis and wanted nothing more than to bring another championship to the city.
If you give it to him one more time, what will it be like? Can you even describe what that might be in the city?
The euphoria. Obviously, you know, we've come this far, and certainly our goal is not just to win the NFC championship. It's to come here and be Super Bowl champions. And obviously, we've got a huge task and challenge ahead of us, and just can't wait for the game.
If you want peace of my thoughts, it's a kind word.
They began in 67 with a kick return. The franchise opened with a play like that.
Manning's Super Bowl experience showed helpful as the Indianapolis Colts strung out to an early 10-0 lead. After a stout second quarter from the Saints defense and an impressive drive, Sean Payton decided to roll the dice and go for it on fourth down to tie the game.
He talked to us about. And it's a running play with Pierre Thomas, and no, he is denied by the Colts defense.
The Saints were able to get the ball back and get a late field goal before the end of the half, cutting the Colts' lead to 4. Sean Payton knew he had to find a way to loosen up the game and get some momentum for the Saints. To start the second half, Payton called a play that no one saw coming.
Every time he comes off the field. Onside kick to start the second half, and the ball bounces off the hands of the Colt, and it looks like the Saints had it for a second. It came out how about this way to start the second half? And the Saints football, they recover the onside kick. What a fearless start to the second half.
Brees and the Saints took advantage of that momentum and marched down the field to give the Saints their first lead of the game.
16. Set up screen to Thomas. Inside the 10. Thomas weaving at the 5, and he's in, and the Saints have taken. Spins twice and is in for the touchdown. This exact spot on the field down even closer in the second quarter. Second and goal. This time they've got the catch and the touchdown. Jeremy Shockey has a Super Bowl catch and a score.
A touchdown and 2-point conversion gave the Saints a 7-point lead with just under 6 minutes remaining in the game. Now with a chance to add to his legacy, Peyton Manning was looking to lead the Colts through a fourth quarter comeback.
Picked off. Look out. Gets it on his back. And it's Tracy Porter. The Saints are going to do it. For years, they have been the full embodiment of their community. The sign of hope. To the Saints, they sought respect. And I'll tell you, Mardi Gras is about to break out here in Miami.
Tell you what, how does it feel to have the defense play so well to get the Super Bowl? I mean, it all kind of comes together for you, doesn't it?
It really was a total team thing. Anytime the offense can help Peyton stay on the field, play only 8 possessions on defense is quite a feat.
You just heard what Drew Brees said. Why did you hand down the punishment that you handed down on the Saints?
In the 2010 offseason, the NFL opened an investigation on Greg Williams' aggressive defensive tactics. An anonymous player told NFL officials that a bounty program was being administered in the Saints locker room, awarding players with financial incentives for big hits and injuring players. This investigation continued through the next 2 seasons until the NFL revealed its findings in 2012. The league confirmed that Greg Williams was in fact the leader of the program, and that players and coaches alike were pooling their money to fund it. The prizes included $1,000 per card off and $1,500 for knockouts, according to a ledger obtained by the NFL. The NFL's memo also asserted Jonathan Vilma offered $10,000 to any teammate who was able to knock out Brett Favre from the game. This continued past the Saints Super Bowl season and also included targets on Aaron Rodgers, Cam Newton, and Matt Hasselbeck during the 2011 season. The most incriminating piece of evidence against Williams came from a recording of his defensive preparation before facing the San Francisco 49ers in a 2011 divisional playoff matchup.
Kill the head, the body. We've got to do everything in the world to make sure we kill Frank Gore's head. We want him running sideways. We want his head sideways.
Anyone that violates this policy where you're actually targeting players for injury is unacceptable.
A deeper look into the scandal showed that this was likely not Williams' first time organizing a program like this. Players from Washington and Buffalo said that Williams ran a similar program during his tenure there. Williams, who is now working for the St. Louis Rams, was suspended indefinitely for his role in the scandal. Sean Payton was suspended an entire year for his role in covering up the program, and Saints general manager Mickey Loomis was suspended for about half of the 2012 season. The following October, the league suspended a host of Saints defensive players from the 2009 team, including Vilma, who was suspended for an entire season. His suspension was eventually overturned by former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue in December 2012. Drew Brees released a statement stating he never had any knowledge of the bounty program, and he defended his teammates whenever he was asked about the situation.
There have been a lot of false accusations in regards to what the Saints bounty, quote unquote, was.
Once Peyton returned to the team, the Saints returned to contender status, but never returned to the Super Bowl. Instead, they experienced 2 of the most heartbreaking losses in recent NFL memory.
Steps into it. Pass is caught. Diggs! Sideline! Touchdown! Unbelievable! Vikings win it! Each other. Crowd's going crazy as there's no flag right on the Saints sideline.
In March 2021, Drew Brees retired from the NFL. 1 year later, Sean Payton left the team. He was hired in 2023 as the head coach of the Denver Broncos. As of 2023, New Orleans flood protection systems have been rebuilt and improved. While some areas of the city are still rebuilding from Katrina, there has been significant progress made over the past 15 years. The city has returned to its spot as one of the most popular in the nation for tourists, racking up nearly $7 billion in 2021. Despite the Saints entering a new era in the 2020s without their heroes Brees or Payton, the Saints will always have a connection to their hometown fans like few professional sports franchises ever will.
I'm not saying Hurricane Katrina was good, but we were able to make some good things happen out of some bad things.